Ladies and gentlemen, hujambo na karibu katika channel ya Skyman TV, the tallest man back Africa. Katika video ya leo, I want us to look at the politics of climate change. We know very well that African head of states are converging in Nairobi because of the climate summit that has been organized by the government of Kenya. This is coming after William Samoei Ruto promised the world kwamba atapanda miti bilioni 3. How many have you planted, ladies and gentlemen? By the way, this idea of climate change, if you ask me, it is good. But I want to look at the hypocrisy and irony of the summit. You know very well that it is no secret that Kenya is turning out to be a desert. Kenya is very fast turning out to be a desert. Tunajua vizuri sana, there are days when our grandmothers and grandfathers would even predict and tell correctly the day ambapo mvua igenyesha. Kukwambia ya kwamba mvua itanyesha tarehe fulani ingekuwa hivyo. Today, nobody can predict anything. Even the weathermen, kile ambacho wanatuambia inakuja kutokea ni uongo mtupu. Don't be surprised if there be no El Nino. Hii gharika hapa wanakuwa tukwambia wakituibia watujitayarishe nini. Don't be surprised if it turned out to be something that is a pipe dream. When you look at our country, we have seen frequent droughts, severe droughts. Now, we have seen many people crying. We have seen animals dying. We have seen many things happening. Forests becoming completely depleted. We have seen rivers drying, lakes drying. I don't know kama hapo karibu na kwenu kuna mtu ambao umewahi kukauka au kuna mtu ambao unajua umekauka. If you ask me, I know of Lake Olbrosat, which I think I understand it is no longer the lake that you used to see. Wakati mwingine inakuwa hamna chochote na inabidi the hippos wavamie mashamba mengine and even in swamps mahali kama huko, and they are very, very dangerous, risking the lives of the people. And when you look at what is happening in our country, there is a lot of soil erosion happening. When Moi took over, remember, he used to build gabions, he used to control the soil erosion, and he tried. But when you look at our government, one of the irony of William Samoei Ruto's government is that it lifted the logging after Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta banned the logging. Yeye wakati ambapo alikuja akaambia watu waanze kuvuna sijui miti ambayo imekomaa, and this one was wrong in my view, and it took the intervention ya watu wanaharakati wa mazingira wakaanza kulalamika. That is when the government started talking about it, that it is controlled logging. This is something that should not have happened in a country whose president is leading the climate change summit, in a country whereby rais ndiye ambaye anaongoza mapambano haya ya kulinda mazingira. And when you look at this situation, we know, we have seen Kenyans littering everything. In fact, Kenya is a very funny country. Maybe you know about the flying toilets, whereby you go, unaenda haja zako zote pamoja in a polythene paper. Then, during the night, you throw it. Where it lands, only the devils know. Sometimes they can even land on your head when you're walking. And you have seen people wakijisaidia kando ya barabara. Tumeona wengine wakijisaidia mahali popote. Uchafuzi wa mazingira. You have seen people throwing litter everywhere. In fact, the funny thing is that one time I observed a patient in Kiambu Hospital where kuna mahali ambapo kuna dustbin, jala takataka, and instead of throwing the litter inside the dustbin, they were throwing outside the dustbin. And I was left asking myself many questions. Ni mara ngapi ambapo umeona watu wakitupa takataka kwenye barabara, wengine wakirushia magari ambayo wanafuata kule nyuma after kunywa maziwa mgado, yogurt, unatupa kile kijikaratasi bila kujali kinaangukia wapi. Karibu wengine wanatupa mpaka chupa. Everywhere you go, you find a lot of pollution. And when you look at this situation, utapata kwamba some of us even chew gums. After chewing gum, you throw it anyhow, and it ends up maybe being eaten by the birds, thus clogging the digestive system of the birds and other small animals. And that way you kill animals, so many of them. And jambo moja ambalo tunajua ni kwamba tumeona serikali ya William Samoei Ruto harvesting baobab trees, especially at the coast. And the baobab trees are known because of their high value, na zinatumika kutengeneza dawa, sijui nini, mizizi yake kutumika kutengeneza dawa. And this is something that has not been happening before. Kwa hivyo serikali ya William Samoei Ruto imekuwa ikijihusisha na uharibifu wa mazingira. So when we see William Samoei Ruto leading the campaign against climate change, basi tunajiuliza maswali mengi, because this one is a minus. How do you allow traditional baobab trees to be exported to China? So wa China ndio bao wanakuja kuvuna miti hii. Remember that even when these people are coming, the presidents are coming with jets, polluting and releasing carbon in Kenyan space, yet they are coming to talk about climate change. This is the irony of the matter. You remember again, William Samoei Ruto unleashing the police with the tear gas canisters. Tuliona zikuwa zinarushwa kila mahali bila kujali, mpaka ndani ya nyumba ambapo watu walikuwa wamelala. Tuliona wengine wakichomeka na tear gas, vitoza machozi viko na choma watu wetu. And we have also seen water cannons, water being thrown everywhere, kuharibu maji, kupoteza maji, rasilimali ambayo ingetumika kusaidia watu wengi. And this was happening when some estates zinaenda hata miezi miwili bila hata kuona tone la maji. Again, when you look at William Samoei Ruto, what he's talking about now, Raila AMOLO ODINGA talked about it more than 14 years ago. For those of you who recall the history of this country, you remember that Raila AMOLO ODINGA lost the support of the Kalenjin nation baada ya kukabiliana na Mau Forest, when he claimed the Mau Forest, which was invaded by the Kalenjin community. And it depended on who was who in Moi's regime. Hao ndio watu ambao walikuwa pale, wengine wakawa na mashamba makubwa ya majani chai pale, wengine wakaingia kule wakajenga manyumba, wengine wakavamia kule kama wanyama na kuwafukuza wanyama. And the Maasai had to complain. By the way, if you have never known, this is why the Ma community, one of the reasons why the Ma community support Raila AMOLO ODINGA, because of the way he fought for the Mau Towers. And you remember he said, Raila AMOLO ODINGA said, if it meant doing away with his career, if it means destroying his political career, so be it. But as long as he claimed the Mau Forest, he didn't care. And hapa tunaona kwamba akapata ugwaji mkono sana na sifa kocho zikaribikizwa Raila AMOLO ODINGA. Na he talked about this. In fact, Raila AMOLO ODINGA, when he was the prime minister, he spearheaded hivi vita vya mazingira. And William Samoei Ruto was there during that time. Remember very well, he was among the people who were opposing the Mau eviction. In this video, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to look at the political angle of this climate summit that is coming tomorrow, starting tomorrow, because already some presidents, some head of states have already arrived in the country. The first thing that William Samoei Ruto wants is to gain political marriage, international marriage. Kwa sababu, you see, if he can be able to gather the whole of African continents, all the presidents of the Africa, if they can be able to gather in Nairobi, then najua vizuri sana the international community must be able to recognize who is this person, who is this now, who is the new sheriff in town. It is William Samoei Ruto. So he's definitely going to get a lot of marriage and recognition. Again, when you talk about climate these days, you appear cool. Any leader who does not talk about climate does not appear cool. So when he talk about climate change, climate summit, then he becomes a very, very cool head of state. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Again, when you look at it, he is able to galvanize the whole of Africa so that Africa can have a common stand when it comes to climate change. Because after this, we are going to have a global Africa climate change, whereby the whole world is going to meet and they are going to discuss this. So he wants Africa to have a united voice and a common approach which is good in my view, if you ask me. Again, this one also in another way gives him legitimacy, because he's able to be recognized as the head of state in Kenya. And anybody who will now be seen as talking about a president who is not recognized, and that's why you see, unaona kina Kalonzo sasa na kina Twari wote umeanza kumtabua rais, umeanza kumzungumzia like now. He won the elections. They have now started recognizing. In my video that I uploaded last year, I showed Kalonzo talking about recognizing William Samoei Ruto. This is what is happening, and this is what will happen in the international circles. Again, he is able to shift the focus of the whole world to Kenya. And you see, even when they come to Kenya, when the heads of states come to Kenya, they are able to discuss other matters. I don't know what you think, but if you ask me, this summit has some political connotations. It is good if you ask me, but it has some political angles, and is going even to divert the attention of politics zile ambazo zimekuwa zikiendelea pale. Na sasa ukiangalia utaona kwamba now the focus will be on the climate change, and that is why even the Bomas dialogue, national dialogue was able to be postponed for 1 week ndio waweze kuhudhuria lile kongamano la Kiafrika ambalo linahusu mazingira. Haya ni maoni ya Skyman TV, the Toys Man Black Africa. As usual, ladies and gentlemen, let us interact with the comment section. Also, let us also like this video. Let us share this video, and let me feel what you think about the climate change that is starting tomorrow in Nairobi. Bye bye.